Kids are sad, the sky is blue, there are monsters in the spare bedroom. Kids grow up and move away, they close the plant and the mall arcade. Kids are sad, the parents too. Kids get high in the spare bedroom. We grow up and move away, the seasons pass but the monsters stay.
Hey everybody, it's your girl Eve, finally on time for once. If you can hear me, put a 1 in the chat, please. I'm still working on my lighting in here. My green screen is all messed up, but I'm working on it. You see how my face? Anyway, so it's going to be off again today, but I want to say hi everybody. Hey Crystal, Brooklyn, my shed lines. I'm going to put this little bad boy away. There you go. It's been crazy around here. Lots of research and lots of Twitter back and forths between journalists and with the Michael Vaughn case, and it's been crazy. So we're going to get into a few things that I have, I guess, neglected in a sense, and that is Rose Bly's case. And I didn't want to just put it out there yet, but that's what I was going to cover today because, you know, it's pretty intense, the things that I found on the uncle, who is, Candace Herrera's brother, who is a violent RSO who has been released, in a halfway house, basically, as of September 2021. I spoke to the chief of police over there and made sure, everything was kosher with that. So, yep, he is, from what we know, not a danger to society, right? And he is being looked at, observed and such. Hey, Dope, I'm glad you're here. She's finally not working all the time. Oh my gosh. Hey, Sassafras, Dory, Afro-Human. Hopefully you're back. Nay, thank you for being here. Thank you for being a member, everyone that has stuck with me, even though some of the content that was promised hasn't been out. But I'm working on it. I am. These airplanes need to stop breaking down because me and Mr. Eve, we're tired of them. However, we're reaping, the benefits. So I hope you feel better, Dope. I'm sorry. I'm sorry you're feeling sick today. It sucks. But it is the season, right? So I'm going to go and start with Rose Bly. Obviously, she has still been missing since 2009. All right. That is a long time. This is Summerwell's aunt, Rosemarie Bly, which is the sister of Summer Moon Utah Wells' mother, Candace Herrera. If you didn't know, that I have a few videos on the Herrera brother, who is, again, has done some pretty horrendous things. He's got a pretty disgusting background, if you will. He was charged with 8 counts of, I'll just go ahead and say it. It's just what it is, incest against a family member. Now, when you think about that, you're thinking about a young child, and it could potentially be that, no matter what, that family member was a minor. I did find an article that explained, and I need to find it again so that I can show it to you guys, but the thing about this situation is there was an article that stated it was potentially a consensual relationship, which is, erroneous if you think about it, because she was a minor, but it was a family member, maybe a cousin. I'm not exactly sure, but, maybe it kind of seems like someone knew about it, or maybe they didn't know about it, but it was for about a year long. So it had been going on for a while, and I'm not sure if those 8, I feel like those 8 counts are for 8 different times with one person. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. It's disgusting. It shouldn't have happened. And as we know in the Summerwells case, there's a lot of sketchy shit that happens, and horrific things that happen, and has happened within that family. I mean, my God, Rose Bly has not been found. Tragedy seems to follow the Herrera Bly bloodline. And Rose Bly still needs justice. She still is missing. And she deserves to be found, as well as Rose Bly. So let me pull up some documents that I found, that I actually not found, I requested from Wisconsin. And here I have a November 7th, 2008 document regarding Warren Scott Harer, again, which is the brother of shot caller of the Holler, Candace Herrera. And I'm going to try to figure out how to enable Adobe Read Out Loud, because you know how I am. I just keep blabbering on and we never get through this. So let me see if I can find it. There it is. Now, you're going to go through a trial and error with me on this, so sorry if it doesn't work out too well.
Case 1994 CF 000030 Document 140 Scanned November 7, 2008. Case 1994 CF 000030
Wow.
Document 140 Scanned November 7, 2008.
So I think that I can just like click on it. Cool. All right.
Case 1994 CF
Sorry,
000.
one second.
Case
Okay, we're not
1994
going to do that.
CF 00.
It's not working very well because it's an old document. So I'm just going to do it the old fashioned way, where your girl blabbers on and you're just going to have to deal with it. That's just the way around here. We just swing it. Hey, Shani, glad to see you. All right. So this is from, again, November 7th, 2008, state of Wisconsin vs. Warren Scott Harer. This was before Rose Bly went missing. So she went missing in August of 2009. So the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to paint the picture of what is going on, what we do know was going on in the family before she went missing. And it might just connect some dots, no matter who is involved. Maybe there's something out there that someone who knows the family or someone who remembers that time frame can go, oh my God, I remember this. And, we do what we got to do here. And if anybody has any questions on the Rose Bly case, I do have videos all over my channel. So this one is on October 15th, 2008. They went to, I believe this was a hearing on revocation of conditional release and status. So Warren was on conditional release, and I believe he was working at the time somewhere nearby. Now, he always had to check in. There was protocol there. But the reason why they wanted to they did the hearing on the revocation of conditional release is in here, and it's important. Okay. So let me clear the chat. Hey, Brooklyn. Forensic astrologer, I'm so glad you're here. So, here. I hope everybody can see this clearly. So, Mr. Herrera is here from jail with his attorney. This is a hearing on petition to revoke the defendant's conditional release. That's correct. The court says, I assume, Ms. Ritter, your client is contesting that request. Yes. All right. All right. Do you have any witnesses? I don't have witnesses today, Your Honor. I just wanted to make an argument based on the state of the record where we are in the report of the department. And I do have a representative from the department here today as well. Backstory on that. There have been times when reading through these case and court documents on Warren Scott Harer that there have been witnesses that haven't been able to come forward. Now, later on, in 2009 and 2010, when this is still an issue, all right, you'll notice that there is someone, and we don't know who that is because they could be a minor or they need to be protected. You will notice that there's someone that can never come forward in this witness testimony. It just keeps getting pushed. Now, am I alluding to the fact that that's Rose Bly? No. Is it possible? Maybe. But I feel like that's important to think about in these violent SA cases, that, the witness testimony is so crucial in dictating how someone like Warren Scott Harer is either free out and to roam in the public or not. All right. So just keep that in your mind. So they don't have any witnesses at the time, but the record is as follows. I first want to note, and the court, I assume, will take judicial notice of all court files in this matter. Now, if you haven't looked at my videos, the 8 counts of, incest is part of that. And then Warren Herrera also misbehaves, if you will, which is putting it lightly. Again, yes, he does. So, but we'll get into that. But I would want the court to know that this is not the first request for revocation of conditional release that was made. One was made earlier in 2007, and Mr. Herrera actually got a break at that time. He got a break. That was just last year. That request was withdrawn upon an agreement reached with the probation department. Okay, we don't know what that is. A lot of things we're not going to know because everything is with the Department of Health in Wisconsin. That is a HIPAA violation, so it's very protected. Even though he was classified, and I'm not sure if he still is or not, but classified as a violent, high reoffense offender. Right. So now 1 year later, we have new charges. And those charges are first degree SA of a child in case 08CF93. And the complaint in that new filing alleges a SA contact with an 8-year-old girl. Trigger warning. I guess I should have said that before, but if you're here and it's about Warren Scott Harer, you know where this is going, if you know about the family. And of course, this is just a pending matter. The court can take judicial notice of the criminal complaint in that case and the allegations made in that complaint. And the concern, of course, is that this is the very same type of conduct for which he was originally committed on December 2nd of 1994. He was released from that commitment on March 4th, 2004. All right, 10 years later. Now, there's a lot of, wiggle room, if you will, especially at that time in the state of Wisconsin, for if you were mentally incompetent. We're seeing this issue in Idaho right now with Sarah Wandra. Now, I'm not saying she's on the same level in any way, shape, or form with Warren Scott Harer. I'm just saying that, when you're not fit mentally in whatever way, shape, or form that may be. Especially back then, it was way more liberal than I think we have today. But if you don't address the issues at hand, this is the stuff that's going to keep happening. You're just going to keep getting released and reoffend. All right. So the concern of the department and the concern of the state is that this is the same conduct for which he was originally committed. It's not the same kind of minor violation of his conditions of release, which is he basically escaped. That was one of his violations at the time, is that he booked it out of there. He was like, see ya. He didn't show back up. I think that when you have probable cause to believe that he has committed that offense, then a revocation of the conditional release is appropriate. And again, that is the reason for the request at this time. And then the attorney rebuttals and says, this is only an allegation. We have an alibi witnesses to indicate that my client wasn't there at that time of the abuse of the 8-year-old. We have evidence to show that he was at Walmart. And I have witnesses who were prepared to testify he was never in that home that day. Backstory on this, the claim was that he was actually at a family member's home with the 8-year-old girl who was not involved with the family. She was staying there. And the abuse came about when she told her mother about that abuse. All right, that happened inside a family member's home where he was there. Keep that in mind. So therefore, just because you have an allegation and the case has not been heard, I have not had a chance to talk to Mr. Noreen about this case. This case has not had a preliminary hearing, yet anything of the type. This case is on hold because of those proceedings. Remember when I said there were witnesses that could not come forward? It wasn't the 8-year-old girl's testimony, even though we don't know who that is and we shouldn't know who that is and all of the details surrounding that. There were other witnesses, especially one that could never come forward. They never did. Never said why, so just keep that in mind. So the problem we have here is we have time limits, and that's why we're having the hearing today. We definitely have alibi witnesses who will testify. Okay, say that again. We definitely have alibi witness who will testify. He was not at the residence at any time. Therefore, he could not have touched the child, and we feel that the child, for whatever reason, has fabricated the story. We've heard that before in certain cases where victims are shamed. I don't know why an 8-year-old girl would lie, but, you are innocent until proven guilty, right? So we don't know. Hey, Wilted, cool deal. And hey, Lucia, glad you're here. So, so they're saying, the defense is basically saying the child fabricated the story for whatever reason. You're going to need to know that reason. Would help, right? So I don't think that just on the allegation where that is the possibility that this child fabricated the story, that you have the right to ask for the conditional release to be canceled. And I have no knowledge of anything that happened in 2007. My client has advised me he also does not know of anything that happened in 2007. I would have to disrespectfully agree with that to the utmost degree, because in my opinion, he knew damn well what that was. And I'll get into that in a little bit. I don't want to make it too complicated, but it wasn't good. And you could probably understand what that crime may have been. All right. Let's just think about it. Hey, JC, Marty. Hello. So if anybody's just coming in, this is about Warren Scott Harer, Candace Herrera, Senior, if you will, her brother. Again, violent, mentally unfit RSO, who was released in September of 2021 into basically a halfway house or a home for mentally disabled folks. And we're going over the case information, hopefully to trigger either some kind of thought process to help find Rose Bly, connect the dots, have somebody outside or inside the family connect the dots. Let's see what we can do. Yeah, Brooklyn, how horrifying for that 8-year-old girl. Absolutely. And then having to live through that and the family, her family, during these proceedings. It's awful. The court says, well, first of all, let me frame up the issue for everyone. It's not a probable cause standard. The court has to be convinced by clear, satisfactory, and convincing evidence that a rule was violated or that a safety of the defendant or others requires revocation. Well, I don't know what's more unsafe than previous allegations and 8 counts of the I word. Okay? 8 counts. And if you don't believe me, let me pull it up. Let me just get on that. Okay. Let me download this anyway. But it's real. Here we go. Right here. Date defendant was committed by the court 12/2/1994. Offenses. I don't like saying that word. It's very hard for me. So, hello. Committed. Reason of insanity. He was committed. All right. September 29, 2008. 1 year before Rose Bly went missing. All right. All right. So, there are minimum due process requirements at this hearing. So, they have the right to confront, cross-examine the witness, present witness and evidence, all the things, right? Like that any criminal court proceeding would do. Says, Ms. Ritter, do you want to present your evidence today and have the court make a ruling, or do you wish to defer having this hearing at another date? Waiving the time limits your client has until after the prelim hearing or after the underlying case is heard. Because you're supposed to have your prelim usually after the case has been explained. So anyway, Your Honor, my preference is that it be delayed for one reason, that one of my witnesses, is in the state of Washington. All right. Reminding you, the 8-year-old girl was staying at a family member's home of Warren Scott Harer. Now, I don't know of anybody that lives in Washington personally that's around the family. I don't know if one of the witnesses was related to the girl or related to Warren, the Herreras. I don't know. So one of the witnesses was in the state of Washington. Now, I started thinking about this, and I was like, well, did Rose Bly ever go to Washington? Maybe she was a witness. I don't know. But I don't remember ever hearing or seeing that. So if anybody's listening that knows, the family or Rose Bly, definitely if you can think of something, and it's related to potentially Rose Bly's disappearance, please contact the authorities in Wisconsin, please. He was going to have to appear by phone, but he states he was at the residence. Also, he was at the residence. He never saw Warren there at all. So this is a male. One of my witnesses. He was going to have to appear by phone, but he states he was at the residence also, and he never saw Warren there at all. Well, that just cleared up my thought process there. It's a male. So specifically, a male. Another person, for some reason, I should have a subpoena. Another person. So 2 witnesses. The court. I understand. And so have you discussed a continuation with your client? No, I have not. Please do so. So they're discussing it off the record. Your Honor, my client is in agreement, and I will certainly give all the information I have to the other attorney so he can check it out with his investigator, as I have. I will have my investigator provide him with that information. Does the state have any objection to a continuance? No. So they're going to do a status hearing basically later to see where everybody's at. All right, just to kind of wrap it up. I think that both parties can work toward the most just resolution of this with all the facts in front of us. I bet you that discussion was like, do you really want to play? Because this is what we have. And I'm going to tell you, I don't know exactly what it was, but I know that there's audio testimony of the 8-year-old girl and other witnesses. There are a lot. There's a lot. So Warren Herrera says, yeah, I get it. Do you understand that your attorneys want to reset today's hearing? Yes. And then they just go into the legal jargon, appear by phone. Do you understand that you're going to remain in jail until that next hearing date? All right. So this provides a timeline is what I'm trying to say, that I think is crucial, because I'm trying to piece together where was Warren Scott Harer around the time Rose Bly went missing, because I think it's best, due to his crimes and his mental unfit, status, you want to rule it out. I don't think anybody's cleared anybody. I know that the old sheriff, or detective, had ruled one person out, and then they retracted it once the new chief of police came through or something like that. Hey, Afro, good deal. So that was important to me. He will be in jail until the next court date. So again, when was this? November 7th, 2008, it was scanned. October 15th, 2008 is when the hearing was. I'm just going to make a note of that. Y'all are going to work through this with me, because these lives are going to start connecting dots. So I really suggest, watching these in order if you're behind, because I'm just going to go straight through it. That's called sleuthing. So let me go back down, get through this. So they had investigators on this case, which is normal, right? But that is definitely something that I couldn't get my hands on, like, the evidence and such, which is understandable because it involves a minor. Has anyone threatened you or made promises to you to waive your right? No. All right. The defendant understands his right, that he is voluntarily waiving it, etc., etc. They understand everything. How far do we need the hearing out to be? You have witness issues. Yes, I do. What I will do is serve the gentleman, I believe is a truck driver, so I have to give him ample notice so that he can inform his employer. And I will call him tonight and have his number at the house. So the witness is a truck driver who said that they did not see Warren at the house where the alleged 8-year-old girl was inappropriately touched by Warren Scott Harer. Clearly, your client has a right to have this heard expeditiously, right? Do you think within the next 30 days would be enough time? Yes, it would be. I'll have my investigator do the work. So everyone agrees. And I should alert the state and defense here, though. I believe legally I can take judicial notice of the criminal complaint. I have not formally made a ruling on whether there's good cause for non-confrontation. The defendant has significant due process rights, and I think we're going to need more than just argument at the next hearing. We will have witnesses testify. So they're saying, we promise we will have them. So should we set the preliminary hearing on the other matter, which is the previous claim of his offense for violating his release conditions? And then they said, yeah, I'd appreciate that. That would be 08CF93. I'm going to have to pull that one up. I think I might have that one, but I can't. I haven't pulled it up. It might be in my old files or my old email. that's a different one. We'll get to that on another day anyway. So all of this is going down, y'all, a year before. Oh, hey, Nano for life. Yay. I'm glad you're here. It just baffles me that nobody has really dived into this because, Freedom of Information Act, it's your right to know. Summer Wells is missing. Rose Bly is missing. The more that you can, not legally rule out somebody, but just get the understanding of what was going on, that is so helpful. And a lot of people do watch. The people around the family watches. I'm sure Chris Larson's going to watch, Rose Bly's ex-husband. I'm sure people around the family, when I change the title and says Rose Bly, Warren Scott Harer, they're going to watch. And I want them to. I want them to understand maybe they don't know the entirety of the case information. But maybe, just maybe, it'll trigger something. Maybe I'll get some backlash. Either way, I didn't commit this crime. Warren Scott Harer committed these crimes. Whichever he was proven guilty of. So I think that it's worth a shot because Rose Bly matters. That's Summer Wells' aunt. And those two matter. There could be a connection that we never would have thought. All right. I got to look up that case. I know I have it somewhere. Oh, yeah. That one is the allegation that the 8-year-old female was touched inappropriately. Right. You have a right to have that heard within 20 days of when you first came to court. Do you understand that? What we're talking about today is resetting the hearing to coincide. So that is to happen at the same time. So from what I'm understanding, all of this plays into the revocation of conditional release because of the 8CF93, the 8-year-old girl allegation, to revocate that. Plus the past indiscretions of not only trying to dodge out of jail when he was supposed to come back to jail after his work release, but the 8 counts of incest. That is what they're trying to do here. So has anyone made threats? So the court says, I find that the product of your free will is voluntarily made. How much time do you think we will need for both of these hearings that are going to coincide together? I think the testimony, given the overlapping, probably could be heard in an hour and a half. I don't know how many witnesses Ms. Ritter will have. Well, about an hour. Let's get an hour and a half if you can, All right, so that's the conclusion of the record. Again, he stays in jail, no getting out, no doing nothing until this hearing is read, which I thought was great. That's a good call, especially with these allegations. Heard Wisconsin mentioned it on a Delphi video today. Really? Awesome. I'll have to go look at that. All right. Dated this date. All right. So, again, into 2008, they want to revocate his conditional release. Rose Bly is still out there, not missing. So let's move on to the next little piece of information that I have. 1 second, guys. Don't you hate it when you have sneezing fits? Oh my gosh. The allergies, the pollen. It's too much. All right. So this is back in 2007, prior to this revocation. All right. And it says, request to withdraw the recommended revocation of conditional release. Remember when he took that plea deal, when we read that they made a dealio to squash those claims of what he did? All right. It says on Wednesday, June 27th, 2007, a staffing was held regarding the above mentioned offender, Warren Scott Harer. At the time, it was decided to continue Mr. Herrera on a continued supervision so long as he completes this programming he was on. Maintains absolute sobriety and serves a period of home detention that will be monitored by electronic ankle transmitter. He will return to full-time employment on Monday, July 2nd, 2007. I am therefore respectfully requesting that the petition of recommended revocation of conditional release be withdrawn. And they say, okay. They allow it. Remind you what his original offense was. I just want to remind you. I'm not going to say it. Just read. You see that on the bottom left. For those who maybe needed some reminding. And it says here's the different dates that occurred. Now, one of the things that I was researching when I saw the article about Warren Scott Harer and the 1-year relationship with a family member who was obviously underage, it made me start to think, what triggered these 8 counts? Was it somebody that came forward? Was it a family member that said, oh my God, they didn't know? And if they didn't speak, if Warren Scott Harer didn't talk about it and the victim didn't talk about that, how would they know? Well, the article suggests that there may be a child. And as horrific as that sounds, it happens. As unfortunate as that is, it does happen. I wish it didn't. But there might be someone who is a product of this horrible situation. Now, you can look at it whatever way you want to. That's not my place to say. But what I am saying is that, in my opinion, and I can't prove this and I'm not trying to, but in my opinion, those 8 counts may just be testimony after the fact, and there might have been some details that had proven that with a potential child. Okay. And I'm not going to go into who I think it is. That's not my place. But I think it's possible, y'all, from the research that I've done. Does that matter? Maybe. It might. It might have something to do with these later, this 8-year-old girl allegation and a witness that could never step forward. They couldn't. For undisclosed reasons, we can't find this person. Are you catching what I'm saying? We can't find them. They are unattainable. And that's going to be in my next slide on that vague, but it's almost like it's right there in front of our face. Who it may be. All right. But I can't prove it. All right. So before this 8-year-old girl allegation, this is what they were talking about. Just wanted to let you know that it was basically he tried to skedaddle out of going back to jail after his release. He got busted. All right. And I think he made up some cockamamie reason why he did that. I'm almost positive. All right. And this supervised release that I'm talking about was created in 2004. Excuse me. 10 years after the 8 counts that I just mentioned. And the reason why he got away with that is because of the mental disease or defect of not guilty. And the mental hospital that he was at is the one that makes the decision on if he's eligible for work release, which obviously they said at 10 years later that he was. And it's just ironic to me, and I'm not pointing fingers at Warren Scott. what I'm saying is it's just very ironic that these issues that arose in 2007, 2008, 2009, she goes missing. And we need to really look into it and make sure that there's not anything, someone who knows that family is missing something. Can you connect the dots? What are we missing? What information do we have that's not right in our face with these court documents? And I want them to see it. I want everyone to see it because it's your right to. And of course, Rose Bly needs to be found. There has been no updates. I mean, I remember calling into the lab when McDonough was on with him, you know how they collab. And I was so excited, made a video about it. That McDonough said that there is an update coming on the Rose Bly case. Now, if somebody wants to tag me in a video where that update happened, let me know. Let your girl know, because I have not heard it. I haven't. Oh, whoop, whoop. Grandma. Miss Brooke has been a member for 11 months. Thank you so much for being here. You guys rock. And I think somebody else. Margaret Allen, a member for 9 months. You the best. You the best. All right. One more thing before I wanted to wrap up here. Michael Vaughn. You know I got to do it. You know I got to talk about Michael Vaughn. There have been some issues with information that I decided to go the big girl route. And instead of going, cockroaches, what the hell are y'all conjuring up this time? You know, one day it's the babysitter, the next day it's the neighbors right directly next to the Vaughns, and then we just swing the way the wind blows, don't we, right? But you know what? I said, don't do it. Contain yourself, worry about yourself, go to the source. And the source is news outlets. We all know about the update with we all know about the updates with the article KTVB put out of Michael Vaughn. You know, Tina, Brandon's shirtless mother, came out and said, look, they came out with their shovels and their dogs and poop and toilets. Thank you for finding my leaky toilet. They were at the crawl space. They were out there for 3 days. She fed them, hugged them, prayed over them while they were trying to find whatever it is that they were trying to find. And I'm going to clear something up because I think people misunderstood me the other day when I said that dogs alert to poop. No, I said dogs in their natural state smell poop. Every dog I've ever seen, they smell poop. Even the search and rescue dogs that I've seen with my own 2 peepers during searches with Texas EquiSearch, which ironically the cockroaches, you know the story. Anywho, I've seen it with my own eyes, y'all. They just smell poop. That's what they do. It's a biography of who was there. Doesn't mean that they're alerting to poop as something. Tina wouldn't know that. Brandon's mom is not a search and rescue expert. She was just explaining to, in my opinion, she was explaining to Alexandria Duggan from KTVB through the message that she sent that that's what she observed. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened. Come on now. Dogs sniff doo-doo. That's what they do. Okay? That was a bad joke. I'm sorry. But where's the lie? So what I did say was that that's not what dogs are going to alert on unless it's related to Michael Vaughn, which I highly doubt. But I am interested in why that they were there near the crawl space for 3 days. That is very crucial to understand. I don't believe they found anything. Was that before or after the Sarah Wandra excavation of the backyard? I don't know. Hi, Miss Rubeg. Welcome in. I'm going to get into chat for just a second because I have been I'm not ignoring you. I'm reading it. It's still the babysitter, Jennifer Hannah. Jennifer Hannah. Get out of here with all that. But welcome in, sweetheart. I'm glad you're here. I believe, wasn't it a message long ago that Brandy had cleared you? I don't know. Pastor Polly or something. Maybe I'm just hallucinating. I don't know. I love you, girl. No one is cleared, and I understand that. Oh, dope. Thank you. I appreciate you. I really hope that the Rose Bly court documents for Warren Scott Harer gets out there, because I think that people could do a lot of good with that, especially around the family who want Summer found and Rose Bly found. I appreciate you, dope. You love the bad jokes. I have a lot of them. I have so many. So yeah. I want to know when the excavation happened at Tina Brandon Shirtlift's mother's house. Was it before or after? I would assume before the Wandras, but I really don't know for sure. I haven't found anything that suggests what date it was. I think that that's pretty important, because in my mind, if it was the Wandras first, and then they went to Brandon's mom's house, something must have happened. Jennifer Hannah says after. Are you saying the Brandon Shirtlift search was after the Wandras? You would know. I just haven't found anything concrete to confirm the date. So I hate to say a date if I don't know, and I'm okay with saying that. Wandras, what a mess they are. Just a mess. You have no idea. Dope. Weasels, should I even attempt to pull up the 911 call record of the the harassment? It's a doozy. I got to entertain y'all somehow. And yes, I said entertaining. Were the cockroaches saying you can't accuse someone who hasn't been named a suspect by FPD, and now they're doing the exact same thing? My shed lines. You nailed it. You nailed it. That's exactly right. That's right. No, don't give them anything. Make them get it themselves. Yeah, Crystal, yeah, you're right. But I'm just one of those weak individuals, I guess, who I just want justice so badly that, people take my stuff all the time and don't give me credit. But at the end of the day, if it helps, it helps. Sleethy says, I'm curious because I don't know. Why are people saying Brandon and the other guy are killers, but they haven't caught any charges? Girl. Yes, me too. I agree. Brooke saying I need to release the harassment call. I don't know. Jen says the speculation has been weird and wide with those two. Brooke says, yeah, any scoop on the two suspects? They're so creepy. So let me tell you what your girl Eve did. All right. Don't Eve let it get, okay. All right. Fair enough. And you're right. I rarely get credit. I never got credit for the Quentin Simon, and I don't need it. I really don't. I don't care. But no, I don't get credit for that hard work. I was going through dispatch calls for hours and hours just to combine a few minutes worth of the dispatcher saying, look out for Quentin Simon and all the information. So it is what it is. These bastards, Okay. So the scoop on the two suspects. Now hold on a minute. Let's make sure that we get the information right. They were wanted for questioning. They believe that they have information on the knowledge of the abduction and what happened to Michael Vaughn. Does that make them suspect? I don't see that. I don't see that they ever called them a suspect, just wanted for questioning, and that they have direct knowledge, right? think that they have to play their words very carefully, because if you're going to call somebody a suspect, that is an automatic. We think they're involved in the end result of Michael Vaughn. You could be involved in you could be involved in knowledge, and you can be involved in the direct physical harm of him. You gotta keep those two separate if that's not the case, right? You gotta choose your words wisely. J.E. Hub does that. Drives me bonkers sometimes, but it is what it is. So are they suspects? In theory, potentially. It doesn't look good, but they weren't officially. It's the same idea as cleared. Cleared is just a PR term. Suspect is really just a PR term too. Unless you have those charges at the prosecuting attorney's office and they say go for it. All of those things are just for the public. And do police manipulate the public? Yes. My God, yes. Can you be cleared and then a suspect? Yes. Can you be a suspect and then cleared? Yes. All of those terms need to be taken lightly until the charges happen. This is just like every other criminal case that's ever been out there, ever. That's just the way of it. They're terms. And this is coming from not me. This is coming from someone who was in law enforcement, who then became a lawyer, a defense attorney, who told me that. So I'm not pulling it out of my booty cheeks here. That's the facts. I would trust someone who was a law enforcement officer turned defense attorney. Okay. And it's in another video if you want that, the citing, because I got stuff to do. Yep, they are. There was a defense attorney from, I believe, News Nation that was like, this is very uncommon and rare for this to occur. Usually you keep suspects like that close to the vest, right? And they were asking for the public to give them information on where they might be so that they could talk to them. I don't know about Adrian Lucian. That's a whole mess. But I do know that Brandon Shirtliff stated, I talked to them a week ago when they came up here. I don't know what they want, and I don't know who spoke to them. They said a detective from Idaho. So I'm assuming it's Fruitland PD or maybe state police. I don't know. But then just a week or two later, right, they say, we talked to him, thanks. They didn't say anything about them still needing to be talked to. They didn't clear that up. They just said, thank you for everybody's due diligence, basically, to let us know about them. We haven't gotten in contact with them. We have spoken to them. Have a good day. Shirtless. That's what I keep wanting to say. Exactly. I don't want to see that. Put your shirt on, boy. But, okay, so Sleuthy Goosey says, obviously you could be cleared, let's just say, via alibi. Then the person who corroborated your alibi feels bad, scared that they lied. And a year later, bring receipts to law enforcement saying your ass wasn't there. I'm telling you, you're onto something there, because I thought about this. Sarah and Stacy were broken up this past April, on their anniversary when they got arrested. Sarah Wandra's throwing a milk bone looking ass at Tanner. Okay, all this shit's going down on their anniversary. Bunch of loonies in one house. And then the federal gun charge happens on Stacy. It was once state, then it turned to federal, right? Brandon Shirtliff was staying at the house still and was arrested on the 16th of May of 2022, right after Stacy Wandra was arrested on that federal gun charge. Okay, let's think about that. Sarah was left. She got out in July of 2022 on conditional release. So from May to July, who was there? Milkbone looking ass. I'm telling you, it got crazy with these 911 call logs. I could go on and on. There's more and more each day, too. Beach Creek, Brandon. Lord. Okay. Yes, please no. And if you're in here watching, lurk away. Lurk away. Don't tell me Sarah and that creep were, I don't know. I I think she tried on the JLR interview. She tried to creep, and so I creep, and he was like, "No, nah, fam, I'm good." So, okay, who was there? Who was there? Who was at the house? Well, you know who might know? And I'm not saying go reach out to these people, so hold the phone. Don't do this at all. Don't catch a charge because you want to talk to people around the Wanderers. Don't do it. It ain't worth it. The milk bone. Yes, thank you. Yeah, she did ask to give her and Stacy a baby because apparently Stacy Wandra's kahunas were crushed by a bull during a bull riding accident. It just keeps getting more strange, y'all. Low-key embarrassment is off the chain. It's not low-key anymore. It's like high-key, the highest note there is. Hey, Tales from the Fort. I hope that whatever's going on with the cousin is going to get cleared up soon. I might go into that if allowed, but anyway, Tales, I'm glad you're here. Yes. So I'm gonna hold off on that little gem of phone harassment from 1102 Red Wing with Sarah Wandra. I'm gonna hold off on that. It's a doozy. I gotta keep the cliffhanger for you guys for the next live because you don't want to miss it. All right? It's out of this world. Thank you, Tails. Dope. Never ever. I cry every time we talk about the Milkbone accident. Like, you're going to catch a it wasn't battery. It was maybe assault or a battery. I don't know. But Sarah Wandra threw a Milkbone. That's what Brandon said. A dog treat at Tanner. The one that Brandon Shirtliff said was there around, the time. Maybe before or after. I'm not sure exactly when, but he lived there at one time. Okay. The wildness, y'all. It just too much. Poor Tanner, well, he might be complicit in something, so I'm not going to say poor Tanner. He might have mouthed off too much. Allegedly, it was because he was back talking smack to Sarah and disrespecting her and drinking and doing God knows what else in the house that she said no. Milk bones. That's an embarrassing story. I'm sorry, Tanner, that I had to air out your dirty milk bone laundry. That is embarrassing. Low key, high key, all the keys. Anyway, and there's more where that came from. All right. So getting back on track here, chat is off the chain. I'm gonna have to ignore y'all for a second. Y'all are terrible. So Twitter. That's where I was going. Your girl had to go straight to the source because LaWanda, my favorite LaWanda, rep for the Vaughn family, stated that there's loads of DNA evidence that places Michael at the 1102 Red Wing house in Fruitland, Idaho. 4-minute walk from Michael's house. All right. Sure. So what did I do? I asked KTVB Alex Duggan, what's up with that? Is this true? Let me pull it up. It takes forever. But I went straight to the source because, it's not going to help asking Twitter people who aren't journalists. They know just as much as we do. They're not going to know the answer. And it's going to come off as if I'm trying to start a fight. I'm not. I actually helped your girl Brandy Neal out by making sure that Alex corrected the calling 911 after she got home and searched for Michael. You heard me. That was in the article originally, and I reached out before the airing of the Brandy Neal interview, and she corrected it. It's all on my Twitter. I helped a sister out, but it's not. It hasn't got good feedback from the people around Brandy Neal. I don't know what happened. maybe I'm just doomed, right? It's hard to be a sleuth out here in the streets. So, oh, I'm so sorry you had to see that, but trigger warning. This is a released photo of Gabby Petito from the Utah incident where the police pulled Brian Laundrie and Gabby Petito over. That is what the lawyers of the parents, Gabby's parents, released to show everyone that this is actually what it looked like for her. And it does need to go out there. I respect their decision to do that because this is the stuff that needs to be given to the public when there's so much speculation on what should have happened. What should have happened in Utah? Well, you know what should have happened? One of those should have went to jail to protect themselves from the other, obviously. Especially from Brian Laundrie, obviously. But that broke my heart. Oh, it broke my heart. So, this one, there it is. I said, and this is my Twitter. So, bugger off, cockroaches, if you have an issue with it. Your agenda and narrative, stay over in your lane. I don't have one. I'm just going with the facts or the skewing of them. So I said, interesting comment from the rep of the family on Michael Vaughn's case. Morgan Romero TV, at Maggie at KTVB, Duggan Reports, Marky Martin from News Nation, somebody help me. Has this been confirmed by law enforcement to your knowledge? And what I posted was LaWanda Westbrook, the rep for Michael Vaughn's family. She says, even more discouraging that none of them are talking. Brandon and Adrian have lawyered up. Lots of evidence at the Wanderers, proving Monkey was in that house. Michael deserves to be found. Now, the last sentence, I will 100% agree with you. Absolutely. So I don't know where this information is coming from, but if they are allowed to say this on a public social media platform, I'm assuming they had the thumbs up from Brandy or whoever told her this. But we need law enforcement to come in and confirm this, because that's how speculation and rumors start, and that's how you corrupt a jury pool. If it is in fact not true. We don't want that, do we? If we want whoever harmed and knew of Michael's harm, abduction, and alleged death, that is not the way to do it. If you're saying that this is okay to be put out in the public, law enforcement needs to back it up with, yes, that's true, in my opinion. Or don't tell anybody. You don't tell investigative secrets to PR reps. You don't. And if you tell it to the family needs to shh. That's how an investigation works. So your girl asked. I didn't get any response. I sure did not. I did tweet that yesterday at 8:30. Plenty of time for a response. I didn't get shit. What I did get was one of the weasels, the lovely weasels, you know who you are, reached out and asked the same question, but in a DM. And the response was, I am not at liberty to speak on that. What are you talking about? You can't talk about what was put out there. It was very vague. So there was a clarification question followed up like, okay, well, did you reach out to law enforcement to clarify this? You don't have to tell us what it was or if they confirmed yes or no. Did you at least follow up? I don't know. The weasel in the chat would have to confirm with me the details on that. I don't know. But we're in limbo with that until I get an update. It's not wrong to ask the people who were covering the case extensively from the beginning. It's not wrong to ask them to clarify. It's not wrong to hold people in their comments to the fire and to ask public servants who do a service for you, who taxes are paying them to do this service. It's not wrong to ask. And if you're feeling threatened and you're feeling like you're getting the runaround and being mistreated and disregarded, you keep asking the questions. It is your right. And that's what needs to start happening going forward. I am going to stop doing this back and forth with people who dox, let's just say Brandon Shurtleff and Adrian Lucian's children on Twitter. You heard what I said. They're doxing the children. Innocent children who had nothing to do with any of this. Minors and their families. Guilty or not, whoever is guilty, you don't do that to children. You are literally backstabbing Michael Vaughn in his case by doing that. You literally are. You're doing the worst thing possible. It's despicable and it's got to stop. And if it doesn't stop, well, So, Ms. Rebeck says, if I feel like there was proof of this, Huff wouldn't have believed Monkey was there. He would have said, yes, he was, and then he was moved. They said that they believe that that's what happened. Right. But I think that that's where the DNA part comes into play, with the private lab. I'm still swirling about that. I think that one of the other weasels had a great point that they are looking into maybe possible additional DNA evidence to exclude. Maybe they don't know who that other DNA evidence that they may have found, may not have found. Maybe they can't tie it to somebody. We do know that Stacey had to take a blood draw in one of his stints in prison or jail. I don't know who else. Maybe Sarah. I don't know. I'm sure they have it. I'm sure there's DNA out there. Maybe they're trying to compare it to one of them. I don't know. But what I do know is that we have nothing yet. And if someone's telling someone outside of the family or through the family these details, that is hindering an investigation, period. If it's not coming from law enforcement, why are you talking about it? What narrative are you pushing? And who gave you the authority to do so? If it was law enforcement, cool. Just say so. You don't have to be vague about it. Just be real and say, law enforcement told me to tell you. But I highly doubt that happened. The prosecuting attorney's office does not like leaked information, I can promise you. I promise you. Oh, yes, ma'am, Julie. Yes. It doesn't matter if you stop or not. They just keep going. Yeah. Exactly. So, getting off that little rant, I really want to know if this is true. If there's a lot of evidence that Mikey was inside the house. That's big. Okay. So here's my follow-up. If this is in fact true, and there are loads of DNA proof that Michael was at the Wanderer's home, where are the arrest warrants? And does a confession have to be told, obviously demanded if they know something, to get justice for Michael? If there's all this evidence, all these things, where's the arrest warrants? Where's the update? What is the final piece that you need? Of course you want a confession. Duh. That's what J.D. Huff was wanting them to come forward and I'm sure discuss. I don't know. We don't really know. We just want them to come forward. Detectives aren't going to exactly say what they want them to come forward with exactly. They're not going to tell us that. We don't even know if there's gag orders or not. We don't know shit. But let's just placate that shit. If that's true and there's loads of DNA proof that Michael was in or at the wanted home, where are the arrest warrants and does a confession have to be told? Because I'm going to tell you what's going on right now. And I do not like saying any other creator's name if I don't have to in a negative light. But fuck those bitches. Excuse my language. So, Brandy goes on to a live. I was sent this yesterday, I think yesterday, where she said something along the lines of, she jumps on Purple Phoenix's panel and says, I need you to share the information of Adrian and Brandon. They need to come forward. They're not speaking. Sorry, I'm having to sneeze a bit. Sorry, I'm back. The cockroaches are going to say, oh, she's doing coke again. Apparently, that's the new thing that I do coke because I have allergies. Bitches. I do not. I do not do drugs. So anyway, Brandy went on panel on Purple Phoenix and said, we need to push the information about Brandon and Adrian Lucian. They're not coming forward. They're not speaking, which I understand. I totally get it. Mama wants answers. I don't know why that wasn't pushed 2 months ago when the press release on the 11th of December 2022 was out. Why didn't that happen then? But, whatever. Why now? Can anybody help me out on that one? Mr. Eve is working his tush off in Oklahoma, living the life, making airplanes fly. Yes. Yeah, didn't have to say he spoke to both of them. That's exactly the point that I made to Fruitland PD. I asked them directly, what is going on? And why are people around the Neal family putting pictures of the children, of Brandon and Adrian's children? Inappropriate. Don't care. Innocent or guilty at this point. We don't know. Don't put their children and their faces and their family on blast. What narrative are y'all pushing here? Just come out with it. If police are telling you something that you can't exactly say, you still have no business running the investigation and telling people on behalf of Fruitland or any law enforcement agency what to do. You could get somebody killed. Not okay. This is hindering an investigation, in my opinion. Which I don't feel is the first time, in my opinion. It's getting so out of hand, and it has gotten so far into the shitter, if you will. And I said what I said. Nice sound effect, huh? This is ridiculous. Cheap girl, yes. Yeah, she knows. But I'm gonna play a little clippy poo of where this jumping on panel and saying we need to push came from. All right, I'm not going to play the actual video, but the audio should tell you plenty of who it is. It's very obvious. You can't miss Randy Neal's voice if you've been watching my channel, nor Purple's. I'm going to be honest with you, Purple. I hope that you're okay. I heard that you fell asleep on a live the other night. Scary situation. Please take care of yourself. Please take care of yourself. So, otherwise, eat poo-poo. Let's listen to this little bit. This is Crime Lines and Lies. Shout out. LaWanda. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean Brandy Neal's voice. I meant LaWanda Westbrook's voice. So this is Crime Line and Lies. And we're just going to play a quick 41-second clip. I'm going to pause it in between, because I'm sure a strike is a-coming. Of what they said, what LaWanda said about this reaching out to the masses on Adrian and Brandon. I'm going to mute myself.
To her to see Brandy's face on the news. How can you not say anything? And these people, they're not talking. I spoke to Brandy yesterday. Don't think that because Ellie said they have spoken to Brandon and Adrian that, they're just being so compliant and they help.
Is everybody caught up so far? Everybody catching what was said? I know my shed lights. Yeah. Let's just go back a little bit just to make sure we caught everything.
They're not talking. I spoke to Brandy yesterday. Don't think that because Ellie said they have spoken to Brandon and Adrian that, they're just being so compliant and they helped and they're giving all kinds of information, because that's not what's happening. That's not what's happening. They're not talking. Sarah's not talking. Nope. Nobody's talking about where Michael is at.
Receipts. I want to believe you. I want to believe you. Where is the receipts? Because otherwise, that is a dangerous move that Brandy, I guess, was convinced to go on Purple and say, everybody, share. When it was very clear on December 11th that they had spoken, or after December 11th, rather, that they had made contact with Adrian and Brandon. Now, look, I appreciate that you want answers. Everybody does. Everyone does. But why this way? Is it just because LaWanda said this to you? It's scary. I did let authorities know that this is what's going on. I sure damn did. All of the authorities, because this is, in my opinion, dangerous. This has gone on for so long, everybody. It doesn't matter my opinions on anything. It doesn't matter about my opinions on who did it, who done it, who did it, who this, what information I have. At the end of the day, what matters is what law enforcement states. It doesn't matter if you're a citizen of Fruitland or LaWanda Westbrook or the mother of a missing child. There is protocol that has been preached over and over and over. But it's only okay if you're the chosen around the case. I'm going to tell you, it's not okay. It's not okay. And we're going to question it, and you should question things. If there's no receipts and it didn't come from official sources. Chris Madonna says it all the time. J.D. Huff says it all the time from the very beginning. This is your official source of information. If you didn't hear it from here, if you didn't get it from the Facebook page of Fruitland Police, question it. Question it. I'm not here to be anybody's spokesperson except for Michael Vaughn in this particular instance. Missing people. Okay? You don't get to be specifically handpicked Unless that's how you work in Idaho. Doesn't mean it's legal. Let me get off my rant. And no, it was not a Coke rant. Shut the fuck up, CJ.
Nope. Nope. No.
That because Ellie said they have spoken to Brandon and Adrian that, they're just being so compliant and they helped and are giving all kinds of information, because that's not what's happening. That's not what's happening. They're not talking. Sarah's not talking.
Nope.
Nobody's talking about where Michael is at.
Nope.
Well, I'm going to tell you that the public pushing for answers on people that have already spoken to law enforcement, it is not smart to harass, because that's what they do over there. They harass and intimidate and try to scare anyone who has a different opinion into submission when they don't know everything. Look, of course they need to come forward. No shit, Sherlock. Every guilty person that knows about a crime they've committed needs to come forward. It is not new. Everybody deep down knows that. That is not unheard of. Hello, hello, hello. But to harass and to incite the mother to do that, again, but in this instance, two people who may be directly involved, maybe, or have knowledge, that's the last thing they're going to want to do. You can't scare criminals. You can't scare them with public social media bullshit. JLR already tried that tactic. Do you see them coming and saying, I did it? Maybe they didn't. Maybe they didn't. Maybe they did. It's not looking good. But you have the wheels in motion. You have at least one charge of failure to report a death, which I feel is scary, bare minimum, because they keep saying stuff like, yeah, she needs to be committed for another 30 days because of the credible information in this here report, Sarah Wandra. That's scary. If the judge disagreed, the judge would have said, too bad, so sad, get your ass. Tell me what you know. Let's start this prelim now. He didn't. He didn't. There was something in that report that was like, ooh, Lord. Ooh, Lord. There's facts in here that are credible for why she needs another 30 days. And all of a sudden, this 30-day thing, extension, if you will, really ramped up some feelings. I don't know why. I don't know the backstory, but it's concerning. It's concerning. So I want to do one last thing before I get off my rant, is that I also wanted to show you the proof that I really did correct or help correct some of the misinformation that was on the original KTVB Brandy Neal interview, the most recent one. And I'm not trying to show it off or anything. I'm really trying to prove to you guys that I'm trying hard to correct the misinformation before it becomes a hot topic. I did it the right way. And I have done this, and many of the weasels and the sleuths out there who have been working this case have done this too. But retaliation is not going to get you far. Because at the end of the day, words, screenshots, receipts, they'll always come back. They'll always come back to haunt you. Okay? Go here. News coverage for Michael Vaughn. Right? This was on February 2nd, 2023. News coverage for Michael Vaughn. And I added KTVB and Alex Duggan. I know you guys have seen this difference by now from all the coverage done on the case. Is the change of timeline of the parent via parents calling 911 legitimate? Here's where I got that information. 12/5/2021, December of 2021. All right. What was that? Five months or around 5 months after Michael disappeared. She wrote this, Alex Duggan wrote this. Neil said her husband frantically called her at work to tell her he couldn't find Michael. Neil sped home, she said, where she was met with police cars and neighbors standing outside of their houses. We have heard this over and over on many platforms. It has changed, but whatever. It's been on Spaces, on Twitter. Yeah. Now this one. This one was on February 2nd, the recent KTVB article. Vaughn called Neil, who was at work. She sped home and the two began racing around the neighborhood to find him. Do you see the difference here? Do you see? The other one said she was met with police and met with people searching. This one says she raced home and then the two began racing around the neighborhood to find him. When they found no sign of their son, they called the police. It does matter, my Shedlines. It really does. And before the actual interview of Brandy Neal came out, I said, whoa. Hold up, wait a minute. Let's put the reverse in this. Because that is a big timeline difference. Huge. So I said, Duggan said, where can I find the retweet? I'm stupid. I'm Twitter stupid still. Oops. Jack. Anyway, look, what I said was, you should know this by now. Like, what is this? And Alex Duggan comes back and says, I don't think that it was a misrepresentation. I was reporting what was being reported on. I will text Brandy, and if I need to make a correction, I will. Okay. Yeah. But I responded with basically, why wasn't that cleared up then? Like, in my mind, it's like you should know the entirety of the story, at least with notes or something to reference. And I'm not slamming her. I get it. The Moscow case has been going on. I understand. I'm not trying to shame. What I'm saying is, over the last 2 years, basically a year and a half, I would think that those details were already implanted. I guess it's just because that they're implanted in my mind. The basics of those that day would have been down. And she was like, I texted her, trauma brain, keep that in mind. Yeah, well, anyway, not today. Trauma, you can't forget. But anywho, I was like, I understand. I'm just trying to correct the misinformation that could be destroyed by, let's just say, people who are invested in the case. Maybe that's where speculation comes from. She goes, okay. I talked to Brandy. The family called 911. The family. I don't know if that's multiples. Which one? Tyler states he did. Right? And that article was edited. Yes, it was. To correct the information. So I just don't know what to say anymore. Like, what do we do? But that was the right way, guys. That was the right way to go to the source of who wrote it and say, can you clarify? And it worked out beautifully. Nobody was fighting. Nobody was ugly. We just corrected the issues. But then, you had the snarky, probably one of the cockroaches come and say, people sometimes will just nitpick the most insignificant details. Well, if you think that the the 911 call timeline and the details surrounding it are insignificant, get out of true crime. Get out. Because those are the most crucial details. And it took a year for J.D. Huff to come out with a 6:40 to 7 o'clock window time frame of when Michael was abducted. A year for the public to find that out. Oh, here's the tweet. Sorry, I found it because I am Twitter stupid. The family called the police. I don't think this is a change in reporting. Brandy sometimes spoke to us in generalities, so I don't think it means anything. If it matters, I can go in and correct that to reflect prior reporting. It's also worth noting trauma can majorly affect the brain and what it remembers. Get it? And I said, okay, did you ask Brandy to clarify or assume her mistake or error was in generality? And I wasn't trying to be sassy. I was really trying to understand where her mind was. And she goes, I just texted her. I don't remember every single detail of reporting. I did at the newspaper, so I didn't ask her about it when she repeated it to us. So I just want you guys to know that Alex didn't hear or misunderstand. She just didn't ask her about clarifying when she repeated it to her. And she said she saw police when she sped into the neighborhood and began looking for Michael. So I will correct that in the story and elaborate. Thanks for pointing that out. Amen, sister. But yeah, y'all, that's the kind of shit that I really do try to help with. It's not to be mean. Many of the weasels in the chat have done the same thing, and were crucified for trying to get the details right. Feelings don't matter when you are looking at a missing child who has had no updates for so long. Those feelings get put to the side to look at what's going on. And sometimes you have to push to get answers. People care about missing children. They don't have to be their own children to feel sympathy and empathy. Because if they have children of their own, they're trying to learn what mistakes not to make. And I'll tell you, one of those is leaving your child unattended. This is a cruel world where you have to watch your children, protect the babies, protect your neighbors. Love thy neighbor. I damn sure did my shed lines. I did help. And it worked. It worked. So anyway, wrapping up, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for an hour and a half. I know that that's long. I usually only do an hour. I appreciate every single one of my viewers, members. I'm working hard for you guys. You know I always do. Life is just crazy sometimes. As I say, drink your water, hug yourself, hug your babies. Help find these missing babies. The public matters when finding these babies. And I will see you guys on the next live. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Much love to you. Bye.
Kids are sad, the sky is blue. There are monsters in the spare bedroom. Kids grow up and move away. They close the plant and the mall arcade. Kids are sad, the parents too. Kids get high in the spare bedroom. We grow up and move away. The seasons pass but the monsters stay.